I'm going to tell a story of how I was chased out of the woods in Rushville, Illinois, at a farm that my dad had owned by something big. I didn't see it, so I don't know what it was. But my dad would go into town and he'd get to boozing and he'd leave me there, you know. So I was kind of walking around the woods pretending, you know, to kind of hunt. I had a brand new 22 250 that my dad had bought, or it was used. And I was walking, I got up at the top of this hill, and then rocks started being thrown at me, like little itty bitty rocks. And they'd bounce all up in the trees. Clank, 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 clank. So I'm looking up, and it was about fall. So there wasn't any trees, or there wasn't any leaves, sorry. And I'm like, how the hell are squirrels throwing rocks down at me? And then this bigger stone, probably about that big, it was a real soft and rounded out stone, and it looked like you could put your thumb in it. You know, there was a curve in it. It looked kind of like a lima bean. There was a curve in it that, like it was a sharpener of some sort. Like if you wanted to sharpen your fingernail, or I don't really even know how to explain it. But it looked more like a tool. And it came and plopped right in front of me. And I'm like, who the hell's out here? I was like, hey, who's out here? You know, yelling. So I leveled off that 22 250 and I didn't see anything. So I just shot it. Bam! Just once. And then the woods, just limbs started breaking. Pow, pow, pow! And it scared the hell out of me. So I ran up, back up the hill. It was kind of, you know, a gully. I ran down the hill and then back up the other hill to the house. I wasn't very far from the house. And it trailed me to my left the entire time, snapping branches. I mean, it sounded like gunshots, you know, pow, 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 with all these branches stopping. It was kind of like something was jumping in the treetops.
There is
carrying on.
light traffic.
Well, I got back up and there was an old barn there, and I kind of took, you know, a defensive stance in this old barn. And I'm looking out, and then I look in this old barn, and there's this little itty bitty owl. I've never seen an owl this small. A little itty bitty one. And I was like, the hell is this owl doing here? And, you know, I kind of yelled at the owl and it didn't wake up. It was like it was catatonic, but it wasn't rotten. And it was just standing right on one of these sticks that held this old barn together. And then suddenly I got like real angry. And I yelled at this owl a couple of different times. And then it didn't move at all. And then I leveled that 22 250 off at it. And I shot at it. And then it didn't hit it, because it would have went flying off the thing. It just toppled off straight down and just fell like a rock down onto the ground. Well, I'm out there, and my dad normally didn't stay out, or hardly. This is the only time he ever stayed away the whole entire weekend. But this time he stayed out the entire weekend and didn't even come back. So I was scared, and I ran up, and in this house had one of those pull down attics that you could stay in. It was a full attic. That's where we kind of kept all the guns at anyway, up in this attic. And so I was like, well, I'm going to stay in this damn attic. There's a little bed there. So I went up there and I pulled the stairs up after me. And I fell asleep for the night. In the morning time, I felt something was watching me. And this was, 10 feet off the ground. It had a smaller window, and that's the only window that was in it. And I felt something that was watching me. And then I got up real quick, and I don't know, I kind of got a memory of seeing like a Sasquatch head. It looked kind of like a chimpanzee, but it was such a quick look. But I have a clear memory of it walking away and it casting the shadow into the window. And it walked off. Well, I was kind of like, I wasn't really sure if I had seen it or not. So later on, I was out back. I wouldn't go back into the woods. So I was kind of out back in a field. It wasn't planted with anything because it was fall, or maybe it's because my dad, they were giving away money for farmers not planting stuff back then for some reason. He might not even planted it with anything. So I'm in this field and I'm kind of looking around and I'm shooting around with this 22 because there wasn't anything to do. There wasn't no cable. Didn't even have a phone. And this is way before internet even happened. And then behind me, I see a guy pull up in this like government issue kind of car. They call a POS, I think. And a man starts walking behind me, and he's got his slick sleeve army uniform on. And it's Joseph McMoneagle. And he walks up to me, and I said, my dad's not here, out in the field. And he said, no, I'm here to see you, Clay, and talk to me about being a sniper, different things. Well, as he normally does whenever he comes to visit me, he reprograms me to forget this memory. And that's one of the memories that started flooding back whenever, after the Illuminati meeting. So I thought I'd tell you all about this memory that I have. Thanks for watching.